in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope soul, sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't talk.
What?
Don't talk.
What?
Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Nick family. Please tell me if you can hear me. I'm having some issues hearing myself through my headphones, but can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talking, member of the MBK family. So this is yes, perfect. Thank you. This is the morning recap. The Knicks lose their second straight game. They lose to Cleveland 108 to 121. Listen, coming into this week, this is what we said, right? That these teams would be a barometer to where the Knicks are. Am I panicking? I'm not panicking, right? I'm not panicking, but we're getting an inkling into who this team is at least early on. So, you know, some of the things I look for in these first 10, 15, 20 games is, you know, where are we offensively? Where are we defensively? Who's in the rotation? How's our bench playing? Who does it look like we can count on during the season? Where do we need to improve? And I think that these first 6 games are giving us some answers to that question, right? I don't think any of us thought this would be a championship contending team, right? Just looking through the chats, the various chats, you know, coming into the season, the ceiling was like a 6, you know, for the Knicks, you know, in terms of playoff seeding. And some had us not even making, you know, playoffs at all, not even making the play-in. So 6 to 11, like we could see a path where, you know, they can really gel and become a really good team and maybe get a 6 seed, or the bottom can fall out. They not gel, not get it together, be a play-in team. It's not even a play-in team. It's somewhere in the middle. Like, I'm not panicking, right? But, you know, there's some things that we really need to worry about. The other thing, you know, I just want to say, and you guys know how I feel about the Donovan Mitchell potential trade, and I'm not going to get, you know, into the nitty gritty of it, but I will say this: at some point, the Knicks are going to need a star, maybe 2, right? I like this team. I think they're going to be fun to watch. I like the depth of it. But this is not, I'm under no illusion that even if you kept this team together for 3, 4, 5 years, that they're going to grow into championship contending, right? You look at these playoff teams, especially those who get to the second round, each one of them has at least 1 star, right? I'm not banging on the Knicks. All I'm saying is at some point, you have to secure one. And I think that was why I was so on board with the Donovan Mitchell trade. And I get it, you know, you would want to be further along in your rebuild, so to speak, before you bring on somebody like Donovan Mitchell. But, you know, sometimes opportunity will present itself and it's not an ideal situation, right? You could be early in the build. You can be in the middle of a build. You could be just right in your build. Sometimes a young, proven star becomes available. And you gotta make that move. And I think the last thing I'll say about it, and I would say this, even if Donovan Mitchell had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 turnovers, I would say the same thing. Because for me, I'm on that. How are the Knicks progressing in terms of championship contending? They look good. I like, you know, some of the pieces we have, but at some point, you know, we're gonna need that guy because they make things easier for you. They just make things easier for you. And when I look at our team, I'm like, wow, we would have still had Mitch, we would have still had Randall, we would have still had um, uh, let me see, Randall, Mitch, iHeart, Cam. We would have still had, between IQ, Grimes, Barrett, and you know Obi, we would have had two or three of those guys. But anyway, this is, this is where we are, and hopefully another opportunity will come around. And the sticking point, from my understanding, was draft compensation, not even the players. So hopefully the Knicks will get another opportunity. All right, let me check in with the chat. I appreciate you guys being patient with me. A new setup. I'm in a new place. It took some time. I really couldn't put as much into this preview as I wanted to. And also keep in mind, when you're doing a show at 8 o'clock in the morning, or you're doing a show right after a game, you don't really have the luxury of um, watching the game a second time, which is what I would love to do, right? Watch the game a second time, to really, you have your initial thoughts, but when you watch it the second time, it kind of confirms it or debunks it. I didn't get that opportunity. Jay Boogie, I appreciate you. Um, for rocking with us. Tim Smith, JJ, Parish Duggar, good morning. D's World of Hoops, appreciate you. Let us know in the chat if you're going on today at 12 p.m. Building Blocks, appreciate you as well. Pudge, nice, appreciate you. Jarrell, appreciate you. The reminder that Dope Soul is moving from the Just Nick and the show is moving from Tuesday to Thursday. So you won't see us tomorrow, but you'll see us um Thursday. All right, let's do the setup, and then I'll get more specific into the comments. The Knicks came into this game 3-2. Cleveland came in 4-1. I think they lost their first game and had won four straight coming into the game. The Knicks were, I think, 11th in defensive rating. Let me I got to make this bigger for myself. 12th in offensive rating, they came in 7th. The Knicks came in 9th in defensive rating, they came in 3rd. So we knew this was going to be a formidable team. Garland is out. Donovan Mitchell started at the point guard. Karis LeVert at 2. Dean Wade at 3. Evan Mobley at the 4. Jared Allen at center. And for the Knicks, the same usual substance. The same usual starters: Brunson, Fournier, RJ Barrett, Randall, Mitchell Robinson. I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of getting into the stats, I'm going to go right into my observation of the game. And I'm really interested in what you all have to say as well. I thought for 3 quarters, the Knicks was right there. At the end of 3 quarters, the Knicks were up 9, right? But unfortunately, as we all know, it's a 4-quarter game, and the Knicks were not great in the fourth quarter. I think they scored 15 points, I want to say, in the fourth quarter. I thought the bench overall played well, at least statistically. I think it was 42 points. They shot like over 50% from the field. But in that second quarter, when the bench came in, we had a 9-point lead. When they left, when you started putting the starters back in, if I'm not mistaken, the lead had whittled down to two, to 2 or 3. The ball movement, the player movement, game to game, you can see that it's not the same. Game to game, you can see the Knicks get a little bit back into their habits. Now, they could be playing faster, but not necessarily sharing the ball, so to speak. I thought Randall played fast tonight. Okay. He played fast, but he still had 4 turnovers. And I'm not banging on the Knicks. I'm just, this is the morning recap. You got to say what happened. You know, you could tell that his handle is tighter. He's faster. He's taking it to the rim instead of settling for fadeaways and 3-point shots. I think he's realizing I'm not a great 3-point shooter, so I'm not going to sit out here and jack up 5 or 6 a game. And I appreciate that. He's taking it to the rim, and he's getting there. And he's just not finishing at the rim. And we'll talk about, missed layups and missed free throws as well. the Knicks did not adjust to Kevin Love or any of the three-point shooters. Now, you could talk about our three-point shooting defense, but for me, it starts with your perimeter defense, right? Because if your perimeter defense is good, everybody can stay home on the three-point shooters. If your perimeter defense is poor and guys are driving into the lane, now you got to leave the three-point shooters to cut off the driving lanes. The ball moves faster, than a player can. And if a team is disciplined on offense and really moving the ball, you're really stretching that defense. They got to move from side to side. They're not going to get there in time, and you're going to get good looks. And then once a team gets hot, it's a wrap. Your rotations could even be better, but they're hot now, so they need less space. There was only 3 guys who killed us for the three-point line. I think, I want to say Kevin Love had 8, Donovan Mitchell had 8, and Dean Wade had 6. Nobody else on the team's three-pointers. I'm talking about 8 3-pointers for Love, 8 3-pointers for Donovan Mitchell, 6 3-pointers for Dean Wade. Nobody else on the team scored more than 6 points. It was those 3 guys. But again, we were up 9 going into the fourth quarter. Did not shoot well in that fourth quarter, did not defend well in that fourth quarter. I didn't understand the decision to close the game with Fournier. I would have preferred Cam to be in the game, who was a mixed bag, really, right? I thought, there were some possessions where Cam looked smooth like Iceman Gervin, and there was other possessions where he looked like somebody just dropped him down into a basketball game on the offensive end. That being said, he still shot 50% from the field. But, I would have preferred Cam to close the game. IQ, who didn't shoot well, but I thought he played, aggressive on Donovan Mitchell. Even Rose, though he played 14 minutes, which is about right for what I want to see from Rose. But I didn't quite understand closing with Fournier, who shot well. I think him and RJ from our wing players shot the best tonight. But I wasn't feeling Fournier. And building blocks, appreciate you for rocking with us. Fournier was in because he was our only guy hitting threes for us trying to come back quick. I mean, I get it. I get it. I get it. Shotgunner, Donovan Mitchell clearly felt it was an insult to even put them in the same convo. Okay, this must be something going on in the chat that I'm not following. He scored 38 and 12 and kept looking at Tibbs every time he scored. LOL, killer. Pudge nice. Tibbs getting fired. Listen, I get it, in terms of how a lot of the fan base feels about, about Tibbs. Do you think this Knicks team is as good as Cleveland right now? Right now, 6 games into the season, probably not. But as the season gets on, it's a longer sample size. We'll see. As far as the heat on Tibbs, salute Dripmore. So isn't building block? So isn't that Brunson a part of that POA woe? Spider is an exceptional penetrator against anyone. Listen, if the Knicks are going to be successful, RJ, Brunson, and Randall are going to have to lead us, right? That's how I see it. I see it as those 3 guys, us having a substantial bench which we do. I think our bench is averaging 44.5 points per game. I want to say we're second in the league in terms of bench scoring. The bench is stout, and it may be a different player on a different night, but our bench is pretty stout. But those 3 guys, Randall, neither one of those guys scored more than 20 points. I think Randall had 16, and we'll get into the individual stats. Maybe I could just move to that right now. Brunson with 16.7 assists, 3 steals, but only shot 42% from the field. You know, we played two tough defensive teams and they really got into Brunson, played him, physical, took away, the driving lanes for him. He really played well in that third quarter. I believe he had most of his points in that third quarter when we were able to go ahead and get that, 9-point lead. But I'm not worried about Brunson, but we could tell it's not going to be, some nights are going to be a little harder, for him. Fournier was 16 points, 3 rebounds. He hit 3 threes, and he shot well from the field. Two UFOs, as as Clyde would say, but overall he shot well. Randall 16.7 assists, 2 steals, but only shot 38% from the field, like I talked about earlier. He got to the rim and just bricked them. And this is not the last night, excuse me, when we played Milwaukee, it was the same thing, getting to the rim and not being able to finish. Randall also had 4 turnovers in this game. I see that now, it was maybe what, 65% Brunson handling the ball, 35% Randall. Now it seems like 50-50. Um, you know, I want to see the ball back 65-35, the ball mostly in Brunson's hand, Randall bringing it up some, being that secondary facilitator. But I like the fact that his game is rounding into shape in terms of where he takes his shots, the type of shots he's taking, going to the rim. I like that. But he has to finish and he has to shoot better. 38% is not going to cut it. Barrett, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He hit 3 3-pointers. Coming into the game, I believe RJ Barrett was 4 for 18, I want to say, from the 3-point line. And tonight he was 3 for 4. So the three-pointer is coming along for RJ Barrett. I believe he shot 60% from the field tonight. The Knicks as a team didn't shoot bad. 48.9% from the field, 37% from three. They out-rebounded Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. They had more second chance points, more fast break points, but it was the 3-pointers. Those are twos. They're hitting threes. So for Cleveland, Garland and Rubio was out. Donovan Mitchell, 38 points, 12 rebounds, hit 8 3-pointers. And you can see how his game is a bit more refined, I thought. You know, I mean, you could argue that, oh, he just got hot. I didn't think so. You could see that he was under control, and you could see he got it down pat. Win the score, win the pass. It was a good mix. He's 26 years old. He hasn't yet reached his prime. He's still growing as a player. For those who didn't think he was a star, he still has room to grow. He looked great last night. Love, 29 points, 8 rebounds, 8 threes. The Knicks did not adjust to Kevin Love, period, point blank. They just did not adjust to the 3-point shooters, period. And I get it. We're piss poor as far as our perimeter defense. You want Kevin Love, somebody's driving to the basket. What do I do? The coach has to make a decision as well. I remember being in games where I would tell a player, you're not in rotation. And I get it how it looks. Somebody drives right past you and you just sticking with your guy, but sometimes, you have to do it. The thing, the thing about it is it wasn't just Love, right? It was Wade. It was Wade as well. Wade, 29 points, 4 rebounds, 6 threes. Like I said, no one else scored over 6 points for them. They shot 46% from the field. Is that true? I don't think that's right. Let me see. They shot 46% from the field and 46% from three. They took 50 3-pointers and they hit 23 of them. Obi's defense on Kevin lost us the game. I mean, I would not say that, right? Obi played what, 15 minutes, in this game? Yeah, 15 minutes, 9 points, 4 rebounds, hit a 3, had 3 turnovers. I thought for Obi, it was a tale of two halves. In that first half, I thought he played very well. You could see, how his defensive awareness has improved, his defensive effort, you know, improved. He made a concerted effort to stay in and rebound. He had the four rebounds he had was in the first half, right? And I don't know if that was a decision of his or that was an adjustment the team made, that you need to stay in and rebound. And he did that. He looked great in the first half. In the second half, you're right. He did give up some 3-pointers to um, Kevin Love. He did turn the ball over, a few times. But I'm not going to say that he was the reason that um, we lost the game. Pudge Nice said, "Watch the game again." Yes, that is on my agenda for today. I will watch the game today. We were up 9 points. Kevin Love made two back-to-back threes to cut the lead. Obi and the bench lost the lead and the game. Statistically, I get it. Statistically, the bench looked good. If you're just looking at the stats, 42 points, shot over 50%, from the field, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I get it. They did lose the lead the first time. And maybe in the fourth quarter, again, I have to look at that game as well. Eddie F., appreciate you. Queen, we see the same flaws as last year. Tibbs give us boring and sloppy play with the trash roster Leon brought him. When is the Bill Parcells "I cook, shouldn't I buy the groceries" speech coming? Listen, I think Tibbs has a hand in the roster. You know, I think Tibbs wanted Fournier when they signed him last year, because remember, coming off of that playoff loss to Atlanta, the Knicks were a very good defensive team, but offensively, they just couldn't generate enough points. And I think the idea from the front office, and I believe Tibbs signed off on that, nobody will know for sure, was that we're going to have to give up a little bit of this defense for some offense. And that's what they did, with Fournier and Kemba Walker. Coming into, this season, Tibbs had a hand in Brunson. You can't tell me Tibbs did not want Brunson. Tibbs also wanted Hartenstein, who's not a great, defensive center, but he does rebound. He does some good, good things for us. So I think Tibbs had his hand in a lot of the signings, a lot of this roster. I'm sure if it was up to Tibbs, Donovan Mitchell would be on this roster, and whoever needed to go would have went. Sean Kearns, I hope I said that right. Our starters don't have any swag. Listen, I am a little concerned, and let me tell you, and tell me what you feel in the chat. I think concern might be strong. Brunson, RJ, Randall, those are our guys. Our bench is playing well. The bench is not getting you to the playoffs. They're going to help, but they're not going to get you there without those three players doing what they do. And, the first few games, they seem to be in flow, playing off of each other, especially in the preseason, but it was the preseason. Memphis, we look good, but then who you playing? You're playing Orlando, you're playing Detroit. These tough games right here are against teams that are not going to allow you to do what you want to do. They're going to offer some resistance. They're going to make it hard for you on the defensive end, and you have to account for them on the offensive end. That's what makes them good teams. And 15 points and 16 points on poor shooting is just not going to get it done. It's just not going to get it done. If this team is going to make the playoffs, RJ, Brunson, and Randall are going to have to play better. And I get it. I see a path forward where they just beat the 500 teams and the teams on their level. And if they, lose to the good championship contending teams, they'll still make the playoffs. You might be right. They have to play better. Those three. Reg Nice, I never understood Knicks fans who said, no way, I'll trade RJ for Mitchell. That sounded stupid as hell to me. Now they're seeing that what everyone else in the NBA see, RJ is nowhere near Mitchell. I mean, for me, the argument was more, what are they asking for? What are they asking for? Do you have the assets? Do you trust your front office that if you give up maybe a little bit too much, that your front office is going to be able to make it happen in terms of, you're going to give up a little bit of your bench. Not everybody, like, oh, they taking 9 players, we're going to have to sign people off the street. Would not have been that bad. But yeah, you would have had to give up a little bit of your depth. And you might have, obviously if you gave up RJ Barrett, you would have gave up a little less. There's no question in my mind that Donovan Mitchell was a better player than RJ Barrett, is a better player than RJ Barrett. And when their careers are over, if I had to put my money on it, we won't know for sure. Donovan Mitchell is gonna wind up being a better player than RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett to me is going to be a solid NBA player. 18.6 rebounds, 2 to 3 assists, maybe a tertiary ball handler. I think RJ Barrett has more playmaking in him, and I need to see it. A little too much tunnel vision at times. I think his game can really open up a little more between driving to the basket, hitting a three-point shot, being, more of a playmaker. We'll see. But Donovan Mitchell has already made 3 All-Star teams. I'm not sure RJ Barrett will make 3 All-Star teams in his entire career. And I'm not banging on RJ Barrett, but it's not even close. In my opinion. Pudge Nice, shout out to Cam. He defended Spider Webb. Tibbs took him out because he can't coach. I mean, I wouldn't go overboard and say Tibbs can't coach, but as far as closing the game, I really would have liked to have seen Cam close that game. Let's go over some more individual players. Mitch in foul trouble. He played 21 minutes, 4.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. I get it. Mitch is flying all over the place. He has to cover for the poor defenders. There were some possessions where the discipline wasn't there for Mitch, and there were others, where it was. It's a mixed bag, as far as Mitch was concerned. The last game, yeah, yeah. Obi, I talked about Obi. IQ 19 minutes, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Did not shoot well from the field, but I thought he played quick. No pun intended. I thought he was decisive. I thought he played good defense. I had no qualms with, IQ last night. I would have preferred either Rose, IQ, or Cam close that game over Fournier, who again shot well and whose perimeter defense is just as bad as everybody else's, but still, I would have liked to see any one of those close over Fournier. The bench, 42-point shot, 51.5% from the field, 33% from 3, 17 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 6 turnovers. The Knicks had 14 in the game. The bench had 6. The bench averaged 18.4 minutes per game, right? So their turnover per minute was pretty, pretty high for the bench. But I'm okay with the bench. I like our bench. And I think they're going to be a strength for us throughout the entire season. But the head of the snake, RJ, Brunson, Randall, have to be better. There is just no way. There's just no way around it. What's good, Ron from Still Nick fans? I appreciate you. Quality Jumper, I appreciate you. JJ, we need a new young core. You know what? I don't think so. I think we have a good bench. I mean, I guess I'm not talking about, I guess you're not talking about the bench, JJ, right? You're talking about, because remember, Mitch is a part of the young core. He's starting. RJ's part of the young core. He's starting as well. Brunson. is starting. And off the bench, you got Cam, you got IQ, you have Obi. I'm okay with it. It's just about putting them in their place, knowing who they are, not expecting too much from them, and making sure the Knicks need a star. That's just the bottom line. At some point, you need a star, and that allows people to take their rightful position, right? Just like bringing Brunson in allowed Randall to take his rightful position as a secondary, and if we had somebody else, even a tertiary playmaker, right? Takes him out of that role, takes the pressure off of him. We don't need you facilitating our offense. He's looked better, right? He's looked better. It's the same thing. When you get players in here, you get to move other players down into their position. Isaiah Hart play a spot like, all right. In a game like that, anyway, Hartenstein played 27 minutes. Mitch was in foul trouble. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, shot 60% from the field. We talked about, Hartenstein. Um, he prefers already. I like what he brings, to the Knicks. When Mitch does get into foul trouble, and it will happen again. It'll happen throughout the season, given our perimeter defense. It's not a huge drop off. Now, defensively, yes, but at least you're getting something out of that position. If he's not leading us in rebounding, he's our second leader in rebound, and he has to be leading us in rebounding rate, right? Given the minutes that he plays. So I thought Hartenstein was good for us last night and for the season. I like iHeart. All right. Team stats of the game. Knicks scored 108 points, Cleveland 121. The Knicks out-rebounded Cleveland by 2. The Knicks had 9 steals to their 3. Knicks only had 2 blocks. Both teams took care of the ball, turned it over 14 times. Knicks shot 49% from the field. They shot 46. The Knicks shot better than them, overall. 3-point percentage, the Knicks shot, what's that, 37%? That's pretty good. That's about average, right? 37%. They shot 46. That's the game right there. 46 3-pointers. 46% from the 3-point line. From the 3-point line. And I think I said it earlier, they took 50 of them and hit 23. That's the game. That makes up for, the Knicks, 64 to 32 paint points, 11 to 7 second chance points, 28 to 14 fast break points. They still won the game because of the 3-point shooting. And I'm not sure it's going to get better. What are the Knicks going to do as far as the perimeter defense? You got Brunson, Fournier, and RJ Barrett up top. Perimeter defense. All right, maybe you trade out Fournier. How are you feeling about Brunson's perimeter defense? How are you feeling about RJ Barrett's perimeter defense? Building blocks, we need a guy that can hit open jumpers at a better clip than we have right now. No doubt about it. There's a difference between he can hit the 3 and being a 3-point shooter. JJ, nobody was defending well on the perimeter. Though that is true. Shotgunner Queen, as a queen, why are you not frustrated in RJ, a 3rd-round pick, going to his 5th year, don't have an impact on this team's winning? I'm not frustrated because I think early on I peeped RJ Barrett. Being a 3rd pick, it just depends on who was available that year in the draft, right? Had RJ went in a stronger draft, maybe he would have went 5th. Maybe he would have went 7th. Had he went in a weaker draft, maybe he would have went 1. So I'm not kind of caught up on the fact that he was the 3rd pick. But I kind of peeped RJ Barrett early, that he wasn't, in my opinion, didn't look like he was going to be a star or be a superstar. But I felt like, and I still feel like, on a championship contending team, RJ Barrett can be a good contributor. You need those type of guys who can, who can score, who can rebound, who could drive the ball, to the basket. They can defend. I don't see him as a plus defender at this point, but I see him as a willing defender, and he does have good defensive moments, and he can get better, on that end. So I'm not frustrated with RJ Barrett because my expectations were not and are not through the roof with RJ Barrett. And I believe he will get better as the season goes on. Jarrell, there you go, my brother. You'd only be frustrated with RJ if you thought he was the man in the first place. There you go. There you go. Um, Hawkeye, appreciate you rocking with us. I'd rather lose with the youth and grow. You are. You are. The average age of the New York Knicks is 25. You know, 70% of our core, 80% if you include Brunson, are young players. Who's out of the rotation right now? Sims and McBride, right? So you are, if the Knicks lose, we would be losing with the core, right? Pudge Nice, RJ was the best available pick. Eddie F, it's not even the losses. It's seeing us lose the same way with the same weaknesses and the same excuses over and over again. I mean, I guess if you're talking about our perimeter defense in shooting, um, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been a it's been a it's been a issue. Um, G. Robinson, every play on this team throughout their career has been streaky. Yep, yep, yep. Um, the other thing I wanted to point out as far as the team stats is the 50% shooting from the free throw. I mean, come on, give yourself a chance. You know, I don't have the stats of how many layups we missed at the rim, right? Last game we shot, I think, 66% from the free throw line. Tonight we shot 50%. We went to the line, 16 times? Give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. If you're going to be a good team, if you're going to be a playoff team, you got to hit your free throws. You got to hit your shots at the rim. I mean, come on. Like that to me is just unacceptable. And you think about the games we lost last year, the leads we lost last year because we couldn't close, because we couldn't hit free throws in the closing minutes of the game, because we had nobody to go to in the closing minutes of the game. I think our shot selection will be better now down the stretch if we do get into those close games because of Brunson. But we got to hit them, and we got to hit our free throw. Jermaine Royster, I'm not worrying though because we lost to 3 top tier squads. This team might be around 500 all year, and that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll ask each of us to kind of go back to what our expectations were for the team coming in. For me, it was 42 to 45 wins, right? 500, a little over 500. I know there were some of us who said 50 wins, some of us who said the 6th seed. I could see a path either way, 6th seed to even missing the playoffs, right? I could see that. RJ had 0 free throw attempts. Yeah. Bayside Jr., this team is mediocre, and unless they make a big trade, it seems like a pointless team. I expect a big trade this year. Listen, the Knicks are continuing to build, right? The Knicks have decided We're gonna bring in Brunson. We're gonna bring in iHeart. We're gonna let this team play itself out. At the end of the season, we're gonna evaluate what do we need to take the next step, right? And that's what most teams do when they're building, right? They let it play out. At the end, they tinker a little bit to be better than next year. So I think if an opportunity for a trade comes along, the Knicks still have their assets. They'll look into it. If they can pull the trigger and they think it's good for the team, for the Knicks, they'll pull the trigger. But this might be the team for the year. You know, we're 3-3, we're 500. We're about where most of the fans thought we would be, right? You played Milwaukee, the number one defensive team in the league at the time. You played Cleveland, top 10 in offense and defense, and you're still trying to find yourself, right? Tonight I'm doing the Queen's Court. I'm going to break down the Knicks stats. I'm going to take Detroit and who else we play? Orlando out, see where we are. We'll talk a little bit about, Brunson, RJ, and Randall over these first three, 6 games. We'll talk about the bench. And we'll talk about, given what we've seen so far, do we want to amend our predictions for the season? I think it's still early. I think the Knicks will be fine. But we got 3 more tough games coming up. Our next 3, Atlanta Wednesday. Then we play the 76ers, I want to say Friday. And then we play Boston Saturday, right? Atlanta, the 76ers, and Boston are our next 3 games, right? So Atlanta, we play Wednesday. We're back at the Garden. They're 4-2 right now. The Knicks are 3-3. The Knicks are 5th in the league. Atlanta is 4th. Let me see if that is still correct from when I did it. Anyway, the Knicks are 12th in offensive rating and 16th in defensive rating. Now, this is rounding into shape. This sounds about right. Atlanta is 8th in offensive rating and 17th in defensive rating. They're starting Trey Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella. That's a formidable starting lineup. The Knicks may have the edge once you throw the bench in there. But that's a formidable starting lineup. I'm looking forward to Trey Young and Jalen Brunson matchup. I'm looking forward to RJ Barrett and DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter, he's a true 3-and-D guy. You're not going to get a lot of peripheral stats, rebounds, steals, those sorts of things, but he'll hit the 3 and he will defend, and he's long, right? So I'm looking forward to that matchup between him and RJ Barrett. Randall and Collins is always a good matchup, and Clint Capella and Robinson, and a Kongu also. Clint Capella is sharing time with a Kongu. So our centers against their centers, that should be a good matchup as well. Yes, Hunter can put the ball on the floor. He can, but I don't see him. I see him as a limited offensive player. But yes, he can put the ball on the floor. Thank you, Pudge Nice. As far as where you can find me, tonight, 8 p.m., Queen's Court on Nothing But Knicks. Wednesday, I should be there, the pregame show prior to the Atlanta game, also on NBK. Thursday morning, I'll be back for the morning recap of the Atlanta game, and it's not on here. Thursday night, the Dope Soul Sports Talk, Just Nick and his show is moving from Tuesday, 9 p.m., because the Knicks have a lot of games on Tuesday, to Thursday, 9 p.m. So don't look for us tomorrow. Thursday, 9 p.m. Thank you, D's World of Hoop. Have a great show, staff. See you at 12. Lots to talk about, no doubt. No doubt about it. Definitely support that movement. I believe it's the next day, 12 p.m. D's World of Hoops. If you haven't already subscribed to his channel, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, be sure to do so. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime I go live or drop a video. And then I'll watch the game again. You know, be easy with me when you're doing it the next day, 8 a.m. It's just your thoughts from just watching the game one time. You don't really get an opportunity to watch it twice, or at least I don't, and really hone in on your takes. But I appreciate you guys rocking with me. I'll see you next time.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now, pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope souls sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't go.
Where you at?